FPS games are dying. Here's why.
The FPS genre is dying. Multiplayer games specifically. I believe there's one main reason why this is happening, but I also
Oh,
think there's a pretty effective solution.
what
One
you
that's
think, man?
already being implemented. One that can make this beloved genre of games feel fun and fresh again.
We'll get to that in a second, but first,
A phenomena I've noticed a lot lately regarding new FPS or first-person shooter games is that it seems like a game comes out, and even if it's really good, it only stays around for a few months to a year before it starts losing players, and
Yeah.
eventually has to shut down because the studio behind it can't afford to keep the servers running. If
that's okay. So it's a money thing. Okay.
you don't believe me, here, I'll name a few. Splitgate, though still active, does not nearly have as many players as it used to. Lemniscate, another Gate game I guess, which I made a video about kinda recently, also had a pretty short lifetime. The Finals, even, has seen decreasing player counts pretty consistently,
Oh,
even though it's
shit.
a pretty amazing game, and while it might not have perfect reviews, it's generally received a lot of praise and has pretty high player counts. Some of you may not know
I mean, 65K for like what was it, like a 24-hour peak? Yeah, that's not bad in terms of like FPS. I mean, there are worse numbers. I mean, you just showed Splitgate, so
this game, but Boundary, basically Call of Duty in space, came out a while ago and lost a lot of players pretty quickly.
what?
Even though it was another really good game, sorta. Even the newest Call of Duty and Battlefields tend to lose players super quickly. I know there's the argument that FPS games tend to mostly be cash grabs these days. A lot of people will say that the reason the genre is dying is because games are being filled to the brim with microtransactions or that they're turning too competitive, and
Okay, so there's two reasons right there. Too many microtransactions and too competitive. Okay, those are fair. Um, whenever I don't know, like whenever I think about like a shooting game, and I think about the evolution of like the core game loop from like 10 years ago, 15 years ago up until now, it hasn't really changed outside of like roguelikes or anything like that. Like if you want like some good ass like gameplay changes and shit like that, like play a roguelike or like an FPS roguelike or something like that. I think those are like awesome fun. But I mean, you were referencing like multiplayer shooters. So and I completely agree with you in that there hasn't been a lot of evolution in that because honestly, at the crux of it, when it comes to the issue of putting a reticle on top of a person and keeping it there, that's a hard skill. As simple as it is to say, most people suck at that skill. And even if they're like, they can do it, they can't do it consistently enough. So, I mean, because what has the trend been in FPS for the last couple years? The trend has been give this like person a gun, and then also give them a bunch of equipment slash abilities. There's been a lot of growth, or at least I don't know, like gameplay changes in terms of like abilities. Like everybody like throws around the phrases like ability shooters or hero shooters. Whenever you say that, there's like this like things come rushing into your head of like, oh, not only do I have to be good at shooting, I have to be good with my abilities to like compensate if I'm not good at shooting. So there's that thing. And it's had like hero shooters have had like some success. I mean, look at Call of Duty. Like you've had like grenades and all these things like in there for a while. But no, that's not good enough. You need like a little activatable ability. You need to have your kill streak. And then you can stack kill streaks on top of it. So like you can kind of think about like kill streaks as like abilities. It's there just hasn't been a lot of like core gameplay evolutions when it comes to FPS. So the reason they're like easy cash grabs is because for the most part you can just copy paste like any shooter, add a little bit of time to kill, maybe add some abilities in there, and call it a day. So yeah,
The only thing remaining is the meta, where it's only fun if you're good.
yeah.
While yes, I think both of these things are true, very true, and I do think there's some decrease in quality, especially for AAA games and developers. I think even if a really good traditional FPS game, like Black Ops 2, were to release today with updated
Oh,
graphics and control schemes, that it would suffer the same fate, despite being known as one of the best of all time.
yeah. It was best. It's not the best of all time. It was best for the time. Like it's not a GOAT game. It's a greatest at the time. Like was it greatest like GATT? It'd be a GAT greatest at the time. I mean, and yeah, like Black Ops 2 was a fantastic game. I loved it when I played it, and it was pretty balanced.
I'd say the same thing about Battlefield 4, Modern Warfare 2, or any somewhat old but really well loved game. My theory for why this is happening is that not just arena shooters, but the whole concept of going into a match, shooting some people, and eventually the match is over,
Yeah.
whether it be a battle royale, capture the flag, arena shooter, deathmatch, anything like that. I think that whole gameplay and progression loop is getting stale. I think the biggest
It is.
issue with these games, old and new, is progression.
Items and things and loot and whatnot. Bro, I've seen every form of progression there is known to man in all these games and shit. It's like, you look at Call of Duty or like old Call of Duty. What was the progression there? It was trying to just essentially farm for like gun skins and what was it, like little title cards. I gotta get the nuke title card. I gotta get the AC-130 title card. I gotta get the whatever my favorite weapon was. I had to get the gold skulls with the guns and all that shit. And then, yeah, that's all it was really. And then you could always like try to grind for like what was it, Red Tiger, back in the day, or was there gold in like the older Call of Duties? I think it was like Red Tiger was like one of the best one I think. And then, like even in finals, like you have to like grind out all these little like what is this, like these little currency things, and you have to unlock all the abilities in the game for all three classes, like light, medium, heavy. And how finals does it, like I think grinding for abilities and locking like mechanics behind just like a currency slash like game time, I think is really annoying. But I think how they do, like how you have to grind to unlock rank system, I think that was a good idea. Granted, it kind of sucks for like newer players. It's like, oh, I can't do ranked yet, so I'll just do pubs until I can like unlock rank. So by the time you get into ranked, you have like a basic concept of like what you're supposed to be doing. I think that part of progression is fine. And over the last couple of years, you've had the addition of the battle pass, pass progression. Like the only like times I bought a battle pass is when I was like balls deep into like Apex for a little while, and then that got boring. Like I played Apex, like I bought the little battle pass, and I just kept playing to get through it all and whatnot, and that kept me on the hook for a while. But I mean, I was like younger, and now I'm older, and now I just don't give a shit about it anymore. So I don't know, locking cosmetics behind the battle pass, that's like one form, and I don't know, it has like, are people tired of like just grinding a battle pass? Like, I don't know.
It's no secret that in somewhat recent years, maybe the past decade or so, the attention spans of most people, especially younger people, Generation Alpha and Gen Z, are deteriorating. I remember when I used to be able to sit alone in a room with maybe a couple of Legos or a Hot Wheels car and have a great time. But if I'm sitting alone in a room nowadays, even with something that interests me as much as Legos or Hot Wheels did when I was a kid, I'll probably get bored pretty quick unless I have 2 or 3 or 4 stimuli at once. I don't have ADD
Jesus.
or ADHD, but the existence of the internet and the presence of short
Yeah.
form content.
Yeah, I've had this like kind of the same thing. I don't think it's been like short form, like in the form of just like doom scrolling on TikTok and whatnot, but I started noticing this in myself like years ago. Like I would need to have like a TV on in front of me, and like I'd be on my phone, or have the TV on in front of me and then like reading a book, or have like having two computer screens. You have like something you're watching on the right side, or whatever, like Netflix or like some stream or a movie or whatever, and then having like your main thing on the front screen. So I think that was like the limit for me, like having like one side thing and like one main thing. But I don't know. Like, are there a lot of people that need like two things like on the side and then like doing like at least like a main thing? Like that's crazy if that's true, man.
Have definitely rotted my brain. With shortened attention span comes boredom from doing the same thing over and over again quicker than it used to. Or at least I think that might be the case. For a little bit, sure, running around the arena, shooting some guys and eventually dying, losing, winning, etc. can be fun, but once you've done it maybe 3, 4, or 5 times in the same session, you can start to become kind of bored unless you have something else to keep you entertained, like Friends, or Subway Surfers, or Family Guy funny moments.
Yeah.
Or a Spider Rock video on your screen. You should subscribe right now.
Yeah.
I think that a combination of a shortened attention span on average with nearly every multiplayer FPS game following a similar formula is causing multiplayer FPS games, even unique and innovative ones, to get stale and boring really quick and eventually die within a few months or a year.
Yeah.
This isn't really pure proof.
Oh, what was like? Isn't this true with like restaurants? Upon opening like a restaurant in like the first year is like the make or break year of that restaurant. If you can get past the first year, you're chilling. But it kind of seems to be the same thing with FPS. But a lot of the times, like the progression systems in FPS games are just like not engaging enough. If they just go on the simple fact of there's the battle pass progression, and then there's just paid cosmetics and whatnot. It's like, I don't know. It's simply not enough to have like a store tab. You click on the store, and then if you like the game enough, I think it's fine to support your favorite game dev in buying like the cosmetics that are on there. The issue is that the game devs are incentivized to make better skins that look better for people that for people that pay like real money for a skin, as opposed to doing like a time grind or like a skill grind in your favorite FPS and trying to unlock like a cool skin or something that way. Like I see like a bunch of stickers right here, so it's like, oh, I don't actually know how you unlock these stickers, but like if this one was like get like, I don't know, like 10,000 headshots or something, that's like a really hard thing to do. And if you get it, it's like you can't buy this. Yeah, you just simply can't buy it. And so, yeah.
It's mostly speculation, but something I'd like to present is the finals, a game that I've made a few videos on and a game that I think is really great. For those of you that don't know about it, go watch my other videos, but to summarize it real quick, the finals is an FPS game where you and a team of 3 enter an arena with a couple other teams, running around to grab boxes full of money and put them into cash out stations, and the team or teams with the most money in the end win. The game features top-of-the-line Unreal Engine 5 graphics, and one of, not the best, destruction system in any modern game. In terms
because it was like, this game was like made by some of the people that were on a Battlefield, so of course it has like a really good like destruction system. It's awesome.
of multiplayer FPS games, I would say the finals is very innovative. The core gameplay loop, though still somewhat of an arena shooter, is very unique. There's not really anything like it right now, and I have praised it for that, as well as many others have too. Despite all this, despite it being a good game, it started to see that player count drop. Not too drastically yet, but I know myself and a lot of my friends who used to play the game a lot, we've already started to move on to other things, because we kind of got bored of just going in and shooting people and leaving over and over again.
Yeah. It's like you need to create an incentivization for the 99% of people, and you need to create an incentivization for the 1% of people. You need to please both crowds. You don't need to favor one crowd or the other in terms of like progression and incentivization to keep playing the game. You don't need to favor one. You need to create something that is equal, something that both crowds value.
What kept me hooked with the finals initially was not just the gameplay but also the progression. All the items that you can use, including weapons and gadgets, are unlockable through currency that you can only get from playing the game, not purchasing it. Being able to unlock all the different items was fun, and it kept me playing for around 30 hours, but now that I've unlocked almost everything, I kinda don't feel like playing anymore, as I found a style I really liked, played a decent amount, and don't have the ability to...
So the initial incentivization was unlocking everything. Now that you have everything unlocked, it feels like you're bored. But now you need to change your mindset into valuing something else in the game.
Unlock anything else to change how I play anymore. I'm sure if I was a much more competitive person, I'd enjoy the progression of getting better, but I don't really care about my rank enough to want to progress.
Oh,
this is where I
true.
think the finals fails. Systems of progression are almost exclusively divided up into 3.
So I think one reason that people don't care about getting better is because there's not enough just in-game progression systems / cosmetics or whatever in the game to make the player want to get better. Like if there's like a skin, it's like what's the like on the rank ladder? Like what are the ranks? It's like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and then diamond's the best, and then there's like another chunk where it's like top 500 or some shit like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with like more things that like incentivize people to go into ranked to get like cool cosmetics. I mean, maybe they do that already, but it seems like they're not doing a good enough job, and it that part needs to be better.
Sections for these more normal multiplayer FPS games. Unlocking things to use in game, unlocking cosmetics to wear, and ranking up. This is basically the same progression that almost every multiplayer FPS game has.
Yeah.
This progression has gotten pretty stale, at least in my opinion. Another trend I've seen recently regarding FPS games is that there have been more and more games announced, released, and in development that offer more than just going into an arena, shooting people, and eventually dying, losing, or winning. I'm not just talking about extraction shooters, though the presence of them and their popularity somewhat proves this point. Thanks to the success of games like Escape from Tarkov and Hunt Showdown.
Honestly, I am so disinterested in these like extraction shooters. I am just so bored because it's essentially just walking and looting simulator until like a 1% of the time it's like, oh, there's a dude. Hopefully I get him. I don't know. That's just my opinion though.
This genre has become more popular. While yes, you're still going into some sort of arena shooting people and eventually leaving, there's a large amount of progression that can be seen outside of the arena itself. You're unlocking weapons, items, abilities, and money that can be used to upgrade your character or base, but it'll also be lost on death. So you still want to get more and more as backup for when you die, or to upgrade your character so you don't. Much of these progression mechanics are longer term than just completing a couple of daily challenges, getting enough currency to unlock a gun, and then just having that gun. This style of progression gives a reason to continue playing the game, and a sense of accomplishment once you've done something. This is what I think we need more of. This is how I think we can fix the multiplayer FPS PvP genre and industry. FPS games with a broader scope and more unique ways to progress. There are more of these games coming soon,
That is actually an interesting thought. I never really thought about it like that.
which I'm extremely excited about. One of which, Marathon, is being developed by Bungie, who are most known for the Halo games, but in the context of this video, are also known for Destiny 2, an MMORPG looter shooter type thing that features a great deal of progression through its looter shooter mechanics. Another game of a similar concept I've seen recently, and that I'm extremely excited about, is the game Gray Zone Warfare. On the surface, it may look like your generic Tarkov style extraction shooter, but actually it's more of like a hybrid of that and the Stalker games. The concept is that there's 48 players and 1,000 AI bots in a large map, and you're free to hop into the map and explore as much as you like for as long as you like, loot as much as you like, and leave or die. You can use what you get to upgrade your character and base, and there's no time limit for how long you can be there. You're just kind of there in an open world. You'll leave eventually, but only by your own choice, unless, someone forces it onto you by killing you. The game has quests, missions, and upgrades, but is primarily driven by players' own personal goals.
Real quick, I'd also like to mention the game PlanetSide 2. For those who don't know,
Oh yeah, the shooter MMO, or the FPS MMO.
where hundreds to thousands of players fight on a huge map representing an ongoing battle that lasts indefinitely. Days, weeks even. This creates a sense of importance to what you're doing, as it's part of a greater cause, a large ongoing event that affects thousands of people. In concept, PlanetSide 2 is an insanely impressive and awesome game. In execution, while still impressive, its age shows, as it was released in 2012. To make you feel old, that's nearly 12 years ago.
Jesus.
This can turn off some newcomers, as the graphics, gunplay, and movement are all very of their time. Despite its age, however, it still has a pretty solid player count, with 1 to 2,000 usually playing at any given time.
1 to 2,000 playing at any time. Oh geez, I wonder if this game got like a graphical update, if it would like bring in more like FPS bros.
Top of that, it still somewhat consistently receives new updates and content, with a new huge map being released fairly recently, and an update coming out even just yesterday.
Oh dang.
Considering this is a game from 2012, imagine what could be done today with the right team of developers, the scale, the graphics, all of it could be so cool. Think Unreal Engine 5. Sadly, the chances of getting a PlanetSide 3 are low, but I'm just hoping some other developer takes 2 as an inspiration.
To sum this up in a little bit, outside of those who strive to rank up and enjoy most of their fun from a game by getting better and better, a majority of people like some sort of progression so they can have a sense of accomplishment for playing a game for a long time. And so they can have a reason.
Yeah, you need people like this, because like not everybody just wants to like get better at putting your little cursor over the dude and squeezing the trigger and just shooting him. All right, not everybody thinks like that. So it's like, oh, then why are you playing the FPS? I mean, that is a good question. It's like, I mean, I think I've said this before of like people like there obviously needs to be a 99% and a 1%. Like the two groups just need each other. Of casuals versus like hardcore people. Like the casuals need the hardcore people because you'd have to have something to like look up towards, and like, oh, or it doesn't have to be skill. It could be like the final form of progression. It's like, ooh, that guy progressed everything. He looks cool and I want to get that. It could be like that, or it could be like, oh, like having like someone that's like an apex predator. It's like, oh my god, he got the red trail, he got the like the little charm doodad, he got this, he got that. That's cool. I kind of I want that, and I want to grind for that. And the 1% needs the 99% because no one is really grinding a game that's unpopular. You grind the game and get good at the game to show off your skill, to show off your accomplishments, to show off your progression of the game. And it's not like a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like a what is this, like vain or vanity? It is honestly, it's probably like a little bit of like vanity for vanity's sake. Yeah, like the two groups just need each other.
Reason for playing the game more. Most modern FPS games, multiplayer PvP ones, fail to provide this, as their progression systems are either way drawn out and not that great, or can be completed after a set amount of time that's pretty short, but still remain boring, and basically the same as everything else. Better progression systems can give people more reason to play these games, and more importantly, can give more people more reason to keep playing these games, so they don't die, the companies don't go bankrupt, and the servers don't shut down. Thanks for watching if you made it to here. I'd like to go ahead and shout out my channel members. Thank you to Pingy, Pink, Derpy Boy, and Ling and Cockatoo for supporting this channel.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, this is a good ass video, dude. I do agree that a lot of the like FPSs just go on the basic like battle pass and then store thing in terms of progression, and then they gatekeep their guns and equipment behind like some currency system or whatever. Not everyone does that, but there are a good amount that do engage in that, and it is kind of boring. I have become more and more of a casual in certain ways, and this is kind of weird to say. It's like I am more casual now with FPSs than I have been in the past, and also I have actually engaged in more hardcore things in terms of like FPS like than I have in the past, because it's like I have Kovacs, AimLab, Aim Beast, HUD Sight. Those are like FPS bro things. Like I have like 1,600 hours on Kovacs. Like that's not all you do is click dots and like shoot cylinders. That's not like a normal thing that people do. Like it's like a niche of a niche of a niche. And I don't know. I kind of agree with you. Like I said, I am like hopefully there can be like some new FPS that comes out and maybe it'll change my mind and it'll just, you know, spark that flame up again of like, "Ooh, I really like this." But I don't know. It doesn't seem like it immediately, but I mean, this is a good video. I liked it and I want to see more. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.